everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Nonprofit World. I'm your host, Sean Leary, and today I am joined by Gregg Brasso of Veterans Voice Radio.
Hi, Sean. Thanks a lot for having me in today.
Welcome. So, tell me about Veterans Voice. What is it?
Well, Veterans Voice is a show that was founded to relay to veterans the benefits that are available from both the federal, the state, and the local level. There's many questions in the veterans' minds, and regular human has questions about what there are. But we're fortunate enough to have a radio show and a media world that allows us to, as I said, attract wonderful guests that also support me time and time again. Mm-hmm. They come back over and over. We've had 50 shows on lady veterans. They have a specific set of needs and wants, and we're following the path of the largest growing segment of the veterans population is women. Mm-hmm. They make up about 20% of the veterans today, and it's growing more and more as they're proving so very competent, both in warfare, in combat, and in commanding groups of soldiers, groups. There was a female leader at Hanscom Air Base, was a colonel on her way to being general, and there was a female commanding officer on the USS Constitution. The first time in 88 times that a male was not leading the Constitution. So we're seeing that as a component of our shows, but we also are dealing a lot with the veterans, the senior veterans population. And fortunately, we have the benefit of, as I said, 3 guests, and they all bring something different to the show. Justin is a Navy veteran, Vietnam veteran era, but he says he wasn't on the ground. He was under the sea. He was in nuclear submarines for his task, and he talks about, just matter of factly, you're in a big tube for up to 3 months underwater.
Yeah.
And now with the nuclear reactors and things, you can stay underwater for a long time. So Justin brings a slightly cranky old veteran, Vietnam veteran, to the show. Jenny Babcock is from the Plymouth County Suicide Prevention Coalition. Mm-hmm. Jenny provides a far great insight into what the veterans are going through, but also what the general population is going through, and what we can do to not cut back the suicides. It's difficult to really say that veterans that come on the show say that they are losing more comrades to suicide than they did in warfare. Mm-hmm. And since 9/11, there have been about 7,000 U.S. casualties in war and accidents, whatever. It's been 140,000 suicides.
Oh my goodness!
They're dropping like flies. And one of we talked about it last night. One of the major things that's afflicting the senior veterans, especially, is loneliness. Mm-hmm. Their wives are passing away. Their buddies are passing away. The children are all over the place, and, cats in the cradle and the silver spoon, and have you got time for the man in the moon? The kids don't have time sometimes. So it's problematic. And so one of the things that we've done is to follow the veterans in providing a series of, we'll call it, coffee clatches. And they're held all over eastern Massachusetts, and they're run usually by the town VSO, the Veteran Services Officer. Marshfield, they have two great services officers, Karen Paulette and Lisa Potts, puts on a wonderful program. I think it's the second Wednesday of every month, with top-notch guests and coffee and donuts and camaraderie. And that's the big thing, is the camaraderie that we're trying to do. The state commissioned a $20 million survey, and they could have asked me. I would have told them the same thing. And they said that peer-to-peer contact is the number one preventative medicine for veterans in loneliness and suicide. So what we do is we follow the coffees and all across the towns, and I'll highlight Hull's Coffee, which is run by Craig Wolf. My last co-host, Wolfie, he's a member of the Red Cross disaster team, the emergency FEMA team, and he's called out in the middle of the night to all of the serious fires, and he provides comfort and shelter and warmth to the displaced families. And before he leaves, they all have a place to stay that night or the next night. So we all have a whole different range, and so we also attract like guests because of who we are.
Right.
And it's after 12 years now that I'm already booked out for 2 or 3 months, which is it's really helping my time to devote to my 501c3.
Yeah.
My 501c3 today it's healthy. It's only because we have all volunteers. We've given away 500,000 pounds of food over the last 50 months, but with 30 volunteers, handing out bags and boxes of groceries to people as they drive through, with no questions asked. No sign up, no registration. We're not going to bother you for. We're not going to ask you for $1. Nothing. Wolfie does a great job in lining up the food and the volunteers, and the volunteers are there about 8:00 and arranging the food and boxes and the bags that's going to be given away. And we used to start it at 12:00 at noontime, and we'd be there till 1 or 1:30 or so. But there was a line starting earlier and earlier and earlier, and now we're at the point we're open at 10:00 in the morning because we have a line of cars going out Enterprise Drive and onto Route 139. It makes us nervous, but we're getting them out of there quickly now and getting the line out of there. And one of the things that we have talked about is the benefits of providing some food for the insecure people that are having problems, and they have a great smile on their faces they're leaving because there's joking and whatever. But I don't know who smiles more, the people that are getting the food or the people that are giving it away.
Right.
The process of feeling good because you're helping somebody.
Yeah.
And there's not a negative word. We don't talk politics. We don't ask them their religion. Nothing about anything. You're driving, you need food for 2 people, and maybe you need dog food or cat food. We've teamed up with the South Shore Pet Food Pantry, and they provide us free cat food and dog food to give away to the people. We don't want anyone sacrificing their own meals for the sake of their animals.
Right.
And having 4 dogs, there's no doubt they eat first.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what it is. And so we try to, it isn't a whole month's worth of groceries per se to get them by, but it's just meant to be a little help, that's all. And to think that we have 35 volunteers every month, the same volunteers, coming to help out. And Wolfie's sister, Kim, does a great job When we get a couple of gift cards in, she has negotiated contracts with a couple of the grocery stores, and we turn that $100 into $500 worth of food. And that's a real trick right now because food is hard to find.
Yeah.
When we started this 5 years ago, before the problem with COVID, there was plenty of people handing us food. South Shore Community Action Center, Council, this one, Matt, and this. There was as much as we wanted to give away, and then people started calling us to give away their food, and now it's like we've gone through a paradise of food, and we're into a desert almost, because it's not only food that we're lacking, but money is also at the top of the list, because money can buy food. And donated food is wonderful, but it's not as targeted as what we try to target the food that isn't given away.
Mm-hmm.
So we give away a protein, lots of tuna fish, peanut butter, staples, a good solid protein, and it goes nicely. The people are only stopped in front of the WATD studio for about 35 seconds.
Yeah.
They pull on, they go to the next stop for whatever boxes and bags are there. Pet food is down the end, and then they drive away. And by the time they're through, somebody else is like a car wash. But we skip the wash. Maybe we could start a car wash.
Yeah, add that in there too, as if you're not doing enough.
Sure, why not? Because one of the things that everybody kids me on is my eye blotter.
Yeah.
My eye blotter is a desk pad from Staples that I bought for $4.59, and it's a monthly calendar. And I write on it, and I take notes, and everybody laughs at me and says, "What are you doing?" But people enjoy it when I'm in a session where I'm meeting a bunch of new guests. I open my calendar page and I go through the pages. Okay, June 13th is open, June 24th, a little bit in July. We've already plugged a couple of shows into November.
Yeah.
Which is it makes my job a whole lot easier. But it makes times that are getting more difficult to find donations and to find cash contributions. I'm sure you've seen it from the advertisers that you work with and the good people of your other 501c3s that you work with.
Yeah.
There's what's coming down the road. I had Congressman Lynch on not too long ago, and he was talking about the cuts to the federal budget. 80,000 jobs from the VA were cut. They're threatening to cut so many more programs and benefit programs and health programs. And one of the things that could be hurt are the grants. And a lot of companies base their existence on grants. They have in-house grant writers just writing the story of the company and why they're deserving of the grant, and they go down and they apply for the grant, and that's how it's done. But there's a lot of those grants are federal.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. Fortunately, we have an all-volunteer army that we work with, and we have some modest amount of advertisers on. Although I just had 3 new ones join last week at
Nice.
it was a landmark week, but it's helping that it just gives us now we don't have to pay our own expenses, which is a pleasure. And Charlie Duquette, one of the co-founders of the show when we first started, we've been laughing and joking since the second year this could be our year. This could be our year. Every January 1st, Charlie, this is our year. And we have, oh boy, we toast each other. And then we fall down. And then next year we say the same thing again. But we keep on trying. And the success that we see in the veterans' eyes, and the families that are able to enjoy the benefits as well, because when the veteran serves, the whole family serves.
Yeah.
And so when the veteran comes home, he or she may not be the same as when they left, and he or she might need some help and some adjusting, and the family needs adjusting. And so there's a lot of groups that we work with, including the Red Sox Home Base Foundation, that provide that kind of interaction and to deprogram the veteran. One of the problems with the veterans that are coming out is we have the highest trained veterans in the world. Military is great. The technology is spectacular. There's none better.
Right.
But when they come out, they spend a year or 2 years training them on how to be a wonderful Army person, or Air Force, and a Marine. Then they give them about a week of transitional assistance at the end of their service. They don't. All they're caring about within the last week of their service is when the bus taking me to the airport, and I'm going to get the hell out of town. And we're done. I'm not listening to somebody in a suit talk to me about my benefits. Who cares about benefits? I'm free. I'm free as a bird now. I've done my time. I'm going home. So we bring a lot of that knowledge, I think, to the veterans community by bringing on the guests that we do. And the VA is a big supporter of ours, and we've had 50, 60, 70 shows, maybe 100 with the VA involved, outlining the beautiful benefits that are available, and to assure every veteran out there that you deserve it. There's not another one that deserves it more. Everybody's on the same plane. And as a veteran, you've served, you've done your time, and there's plenty of money that they are offering just to take advantage of their free eyeglasses. Once a year, you get free eyeglasses, 2 pairs. Hearing aids, free
huge,
hearing aids. Prescriptions, 0 cost.
Wow.
All of them. So, I mean, in today's world,
That's humongous.
Yeah. And it's for the veterans and their families can be included. So we like to bring the benefit providers in to let them know that there's VA help, who the VA uses to conduct their interviews to see if they qualify, how to get qualified. Massachusetts is fortunate that we are the only state in the nation that by law has a Veteran Services Officer, a VSO, in every city and town with a population greater than 12,000. Populations less than that can share with towns next door and things. Some of that's happening, but it's a tremendous aid to the veterans. You can walk right in, sit right down. There was a song, and baby, let your mind roll on.
Yeah.
And here it is. You can spill your story to the Veteran Services Officer. Karen Paulette or Lisa Potts would do your intake and say, oh, gee, you're eligible for this. You're eligible for excise tax. You're eligible for license plates. You're eligible for the myriad of benefits that they talk about.
Yeah.
And they not only help you the first day, but they're the second day and the third day. They're there every day. So and sometimes it may not be a real emergency, but sometimes some of the vets are a little bit stressed out, and so a smaller issue can become a bigger issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they can't talk to anybody.
Right.
And what do I call? I call the monolith of the VA. Oh, You know, might as well call Elvis. He's going to answer seemingly before
Yeah.
first, you know. But we have the people in the VA that do answer.
Good.
We have the director of the Women Veterans Health Network on every 3 months talking about the great advances they're making with women's health issues, even to the point of building a separate entryway in West Roxbury so that the women veterans don't have to walk by all the male veterans that are there for their benefits.
Yeah.
It's just another. They listen to the women, and they're listening more and more because they have to.
Right.
But there's more tracking. You know, so the programs, they can judge whether they work or they don't work. But one of the things that we've done is we created, me and the city of Quincy, or is it the city of Quincy and I, had a meeting about 6 years ago, and we decided that we were going to use Pageant Field as a get-together spot.
Yeah.
And we were going to invite all the veterans communities that we knew to have a session, a 4-hour benefit program, and jobs and health care and education. And we had about 20 tables or so. Look, really sparse. We had a 34-acre park in Pageant Field. But everybody was smiling, and they were listening to the music. And we could see that the vets were talking to each other. And that's the peer-to-peer contact. So they talk about peer-to-peer contact. We have peer-to-peer-to-peer-to-peer-to-peer, because we get about 18 levels of peers, whether they're trained or not. Because just talking about something relieves a lot of the pressure, relieves the stress.
Absolutely.
We even have some writers that are there, because what has been said to us by UMass Boston professor, Vietnam veteran, he was in the jungles of Laos border, we'll say, and he wrote a book called Walking Point, because that he was walking the point every night. They'd go out in the darkness and look for the Viet Cong, hoping they wouldn't find him, because they didn't want to die.
No.
They wanted to go home. And the biggest thing that they were aiming for was their time back home.
Yeah.
They want to get home. They want to get home. So he said that he came home. He had some problems with alcohol, as so many of them did. They weren't necessarily welcomed at all. Mm-hmm. The Vietnam veterans were terribly treated back then. And he had some thoughts that he wrote down on paper. And then he wrote a couple of more things down on paper. And pretty soon, all those things became a book. And he said the cathartic process of him writing that book was him taking all that burden that he carried on his shoulders for all those years and put it down and put it on the table, and he walked away from it. He's still trying to find his Sergeant Oxia, that was his commanding sergeant, that during a helicopter landing, the sergeant, there was an explosion. The Viet Cong blew up a captured American bomb that didn't detonate. They carried it up the hill and thinking that the helicopters were going to come back sometime. And when they did, the Viet Cong detonated this 500-pound bomb.
Wow.
Oh, many were killed, but they never found Sergeant Oxia. And he, Mike Cunningham, has gone back 3 or 4 times, and he's actually met with the Viet Cong commander that blew up the hill.
Wow.
They didn't meet as enemies. They met as, hey, that was then. This is now.
Yeah.
You gotta move on. And we have with Vietnam. We're a tremendous trading partner with Vietnam. But I had the pleasure of looking and seeing a picture of Sergeant Oxia. Oxy is Mike Cunningham calls him. I expected him to be a cross between The Rock and John Wayne and, I don't know, just a rough, tough whatever. And I saw his picture, and he was 19 years old.
Wow.
Wow. He was 19. So
that's incredible.
And that's why I carry on.
Yeah.
12 years of a live show every Thursday night for an hour.
At 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m.
WATD 95.9.
And replayed on you folks replay it for me.
Yep.
And we appreciate that support because you're helping us to get into the local community.
Absolutely.
And now we're going to be doing a major push with Wreaths Across America to get enough wreaths. Wreaths Across America makes 3 million wreaths to place on veterans' graves all across the country. They have transportation companies to volunteer to go pick up the trees, the wreaths, and they deliver them. So it's like a convoy, going all over the world.
Yeah.
And, all over the United States, rather. And they're from up in Maine. They're up in the Canadian border of Maine. But imagine they make 3.5 million wreaths, and those wreaths are some of the wreaths that we offer are destined to be placed down at the Bourne National Cemetery and at nearby. Well, the Bourne National Cemetery has 85,000 grave sites, and they don't have a gravestone marker like you see in Arlington. It's a cross. They decided, or the town asked them, could they do flat stones? So when you go there, you don't. It's fields and fields of what is seemingly a fairway, but every 6 foot is a plaque, is a stone with another burial of soldiers from the Civil War to the current days of soldiers losing their life in the Middle East or wherever it might be. So it's but they have 85,000 graves, and we only sold 20,000 wreaths that last year. 65,000 graves had no wreaths. So we're going to start as early as our festival in July to really popularize that we need more wreaths, that we should cover every wreath, every grave site down at Arlington. They're $17 a piece. People go online, go to our website, veteransvoice.org. They can hit the button and donate 1 tree or 5 trees or 10 trees. You might donate a tree for everyone in your family.
Yeah.
Mother and father will send you a Christmas card with a thank you, and it's just the feeling that we get being involved with these seemingly very, very worthwhile endeavors, because we do a good, if not great job of vetting out, so to speak, all of our guests. And we have people that call up and say, people that want to come on, and for a first time, I might let them on, but only after a series of conversations. What's your target? What's your mission? How long have you been around? Just normal questions, and we have a casual question and answer period that I go through, and at the end of that, I decide, whether they can have a spot coming up real soon, or maybe we have to push them back because there's some of the shows that are already booked and have a little bit more. It's a little bit more important. I don't want to tell those people that they're not important.
Right.
I'll just say, and I may mention them, But a 1 hour show is very valuable, and it's getting more valuable after 12 years of being around and just being around. We've outlived most of the television shows that are on TV now. Not many have been on longer than 12 years.
Yeah.
Maybe the nightly news, that's about it. But we don't talk about politics. We've had the calls. We had Congressman Lynch on, but he was talking about issues that impacting veterans. Not to downplay either side. There's enough good things to say about both sides, and somebody's going to have a problem with something, no matter what side you're on. So if we take no sides and just try to play in the middle, we'll be the Switzerland of radio shows. That's kind of our destination, to be really just allied to no one but friend to all.
Yeah. You're on the side of the veterans.
We are. We are, and the veterans' families.
Yes.
One thing that just occurred last year, there was a series of triplets that went to school in Marshfield, and they all graduated a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. Well, one of my advertisers, Paul Sullivan, heard that they were around, and he asked me to set up a night in his private box at the Bruins game for the 3 boys, their mother and father, 3 guests, and the recruiters. And he sent a limo down, picked them up, drove them into the garden, had a great time. The kids were thrilled. The only time I've been in a box with everything served to you and stuff, and a great view of the ice. And then we followed up with the show this year of Where Are They Now?
Yeah.
And they're all Lance Corporals in the Marine Corps. And one stationed in Hawaii, God bless him. One went to Alaska, and another one is in munitions or something. So all doing completely different things in the service.
Yeah.
But when their recruiter came on, he taught. It's not like the old days when you were going in the service and what do you want to do? Oh, I want to be an engineer. Okay, you're a school teacher. Yeah, I want to be this. Well, no, we need this. So you do this, and so they picked people for tasks not necessarily relative to their skill set or what they want to do. It's a little bit different today because the service companies, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, have trouble recruiting, and so now it's a different story, and they are promising certain things, and little did I know that when the recruiter was talking to those 3 kids, there was 354 career choices that they could choose to follow with the Marines. 354. So no matter what you want to do, you're gonna fit in that round hole for you somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're not going to force you to do. I speak. The
figurative we.
Yes. Yeah. They want to. They want to treat you with kid gloves, and now, believe it or not, you ought to tell your bosses this. They are paying $50,000 to $100,000 re-enlistment bonuses.
Wow.
$100,000 for certain skills. So Justin was my co-host. He would have a skill set that they would love because they want him to go underwater again. Yeah. And now further down the line, down in Groton, Connecticut, there's General Electric, General Dynamics rather. They want guys like Justin to help them build the next submarine.
Yeah.
And to help them test it. and get the feedback from what exactly they need in the next whatever. And Justin talks about how his submarine was a big deal, that it was, I think, 400 feet long, and they had
Wow.
and they had
Huge.
and they had 12 nuclear missiles on it.
Skyscraper, horizontal in the water.
They're like mushrooms.
Yeah.
And they'd be underwater for 3 months at a time.
That's incredible.
Can you?
How do you do that? How do you keep your sanity in this tube in the water?
I can't. I'm claustrophobic. It's hot enough in here for me. But as a kid, if we built a snow fort, I couldn't go in a tunnel. I just couldn't stick. I was just inherently afraid of it for some reason. But and one of my uncles was an engineer down in Groton. And years ago they had an open house, and it was on the submarine, and I looked down the hole, and that was as close
No
as
thanks.
No, thank you. No, thank you. And they went, and everybody went. All the women went. Everybody. No, I was the little wuss pie. I'm not going. So don't fence me in or sub me in. But we try to make it entertaining. And one of the things we've done is we've organized with the city of Quincy a series of festivals. And I talked about our first festival. We attracted one of the things that we've been forced to do, and we learned this the hard way by an event in Plymouth that we had that the VA sponsored, and they had food for 500 veterans there. Big career fair. They had all the tables and chairs and whatever, and we had 30 people there, and we were dumping 20-gallon containers of coffee down the sewer that Mary Lou's donated to us, and because there wasn't enough draw, so we created draw, and as the festival grew, the 20 people were the 20 good solid people that were there. Grew to 40, 50 people the next year, grew to 70 people the next year, grew to 100 people the last 2 years. And this July, we're going to have our 6th event with the city of Quincy, and we will have 150 tables of benefit providers, job opportunities, healthcare, present healthcare services. You'll be able to sign up with the VA at that time. And the VA grades our events by how many new accounts they get, how many sign-ups. Well, we averaged 3, 4, 5, 7. Last year we did 34.
Wow.
They were doing backflips.
Yeah.
And the reason being we had all this people with all the veterans benefits there, and there's something there for everybody.
Yeah.
And now we're feeding them. We're feeding the families. We're asking them stay down and just talk to each other, because when we feed them, it's a line. We have the Norfolk County Sheriff's Department sends its barbecue emergency truck down, and they open up the back, and it's all barbecue grills.
Oh, nice.
And they cook and serve 500 hamburgers for us.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's our burgers.
Yeah.
We get 500 hot dogs. We get sausages. Wolfie might get ribs. We get whatever is available at that time, and now we're serving them at the end of the line. But Quincy built this beautiful covered pavilion and it's got 25 or 30 tables and benches attached to it. Really, really nice. And everybody sits in a group.
Yeah.
And that's where the the chit-chat comes. And they talk, and the old guys are talking to the young guys, and everybody's jibber-jabbering. There's all kinds of hats, and I served then, and it's just a joyous time. And one of the things that we've done this year is we're going to have a memorial to service dogs killed in action, especially Kit from Braintree, who was killed in a gunfire. His handler survived, but Kit passed away. We're going to have a tribute to all those canines that have been lost. But then we decided to expand it to, well, how about the canines that aren't lost? So we decided to invite the canines that are serving. So I didn't have anything else to do one day, so I thought about, how about inviting the service dog trainers that actually train the dogs for the police departments.
Yeah.
So that's the service dog trainers. And then now it's down to inviting all of the service dogs that have been trained by these companies. And we've got a company, Service Dog Project, is from Ipswich, Mass.
Yeah.
And they train Great Danes. And if there's ever a sight to see, it's coming over the hill, and the exposed farm is right there, and they have 30 acres of Great Danes.
Yeah.
These giant, beautiful animals, all white and black, different colors, but mostly white and black, you know?
Yeah.
And they give them to veterans. And when they give them to a veteran, they have a cottage there that the veteran stays for 2 weeks and gets to know the dog, and the dog gets to know the veteran.
That's awesome.
And they learn commands and all that. And when they train, these are heavy-duty service dogs.
Yeah.
And they chose a Great Dane because they're big enough to support someone.
Right.
I have Shih Tzus. You know, I have kneeled down and they still wouldn't support me. But they're service dogs. So, I've invited the service dog trainers to come. And now, the latest is I've invited the Quincy Animal Shelter to bring some of their dogs to the event. And my feeling is that every dog can be a service dog, whether or not it's trained or I don't train my dogs. They train me. They let me know what they want to do. And we have a nice relationship. I think it's a nice relationship anyways. Yeah. But so we're going to, and it's a dog-friendly park. We have 34 acres of nice shade and water, plenty of water. We have a walking trail of a half a mile that the city of Quincy just spent $6 million in renovation.
Wow.
On the field. It's a gorgeous field. You drive up and, wow, it's like it's on the top of a mountain.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, it was like 100 degrees in the middle of the heat wave. But there's always a breeze up there because we're right on the water.
Oh, it's
we're overlooking Quincy Bay.
Yeah.
And the breeze is there. And if the vets want, they can bring a kayak. And we have a kayak landing. They can go out and kayak up a beautiful stream that goes up into the marsh. And I think even that the city provides kayaks. It's like a boat landing down there. So there's something for everybody. We try to react to provide the latest information out there. And with the help of all our partners now, we're able to be a voice of truth. Because nobody pays us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's the way we like it. But we certainly welcome donations that you care to make. We're 501c3, as I said, which you can declare any donations on your tax return. We can give you a letter if you need it, and we can even share our W-9. Some corporations need that W-9 form, which is the federal identification number, which all 501c3s have. But veteransvoicenetwork.org is our website, and you have to be a 501c3 for the .org denomination at the end.
Right.
It's a special denomination, so we're a little bit different, and we identify ourselves as being a little bit different, and But it's different. Being different that counts.
Yeah.
You know, Sean, you don't want the 34th All in the Family
No.
show. You know, you want the next Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And enough of the reruns, and they're great.
Yeah.
But what's next?
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, that's a question that I started asking of a vet, and I've used it a couple of times. She was coming out of extreme detox in the Brockton VA lockup center. Mm-hmm. She 90 days. She claims it saved her life, which it definitely did. She came out of the service. Sexual trauma was a problem, and we actually wrote a movie. I didn't write it, but I introduced her to a movie producer, and we created a documentary about her called "The Wounds You Cannot See." There was the Independent Film of the Year at the San Diego Film Festival a couple of years ago, and she called me. She saw one of my posters up in the VA hospital, and she wrote down my phone number. She called me, and we talked for a little while. We went to lunch at Wahlberg's down at the Hingham Shipyard, and just shooting the breeze. Just I could see she was a little bit tense, whatever. And I asked her, I said, "Well, Nancy, what's next?" She said, "What do you mean? What's next?" And because she's been floating for so long, never planning a what next, and never in control, and she was way out of control, drugging, hiding under coffee tables, just awful situation. And she was down in Texas. And Texas doesn't have the VA footprint that we have up here. And we have 3 hospitals within walking distance: the Brockton VA Hospital, West Roxbury, and Jamaica Plain. And there's the Bedford VA Hospital. And Providence has more hospitals. And in addition, there's a community care program that exists now. And if the VA does not have the proper equipment, the scientific whatever, there's all scientific equipment. For example, Dr. Andy Wiemeyer down in Duxbury is a prosthodontist. He is the famous whatever, all the implants, all the whatevers, and the VA in Brockton are now sending patients of the worst kind to him for treatment, and he takes care of the treatment at no charge, and it gets handled. But that's something that the VA around this area has started, and is now a practice across the country, that if they can't do it, well, let us find somebody that can. So the benefits are growing right now.
That's wonderful.
It's good, but unfortunately the 501c3 grant pool is going to be shrinking.
Yeah.
It already is. We're struggling, and we live day to day just looking to cover our expenses to keep the phones and the website up and running, and we just go about doing our job, and hopefully things turn out at the end of the week for us.
Well, as we kind of run down on time here, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, how did you get into this? You're insatiable, like, when it comes to working for the veterans. How did you get started in this?
While I was growing up in my life, godmothers were a big deal back then. I don't know if they are now. You just had a baby.
I did.
Does she have a godmother?
She doesn't.
Will she?
Probably not.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But years ago, they were a big deal. Well, my godmother, Auntie Jean, was unfortunately married to an Army private that was going to get shipped overseas, and they were married for 2 weeks, and he shipped off. He never came home. He was killed in Italy, and she came and lived with us, because in those days families lived together. It was my mother, my godmother, my uncle,
Yeah.
my grandmother, my two sisters. I didn't have a chance. There was 90% women in my house. But my aunt was primarily one of the rocks of the family. But she had a problem in that she never recovered from losing her husband.
Mm-hmm.
She would lock herself up in her room over Memorial Day and drink 2 or 3 half gallons of whatever she could find. She was just incorrigible. Every holiday, she just never recovered. And she died an alcoholic war widow. And seeing what she went through, what we went through, maybe we can help ease the pain of some veterans' families out there. We're losing a lot of veterans from Vietnam that are dying of cancer and Agent Orange, and we're celebrating their lives as the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War ending just passed, and it's dear to us. We're now asking people if they feel okay. Are you thinking of not committing suicide? You take your life by suicide. And Jenny has convinced me and others on the show that it's beneficial and it's okay to ask if somebody's thinking of killing themselves. I was afraid it would push them off the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, oh no, just the opposite. Because if you can get them to talk a little bit, that's half of the battle.
Help them feel seen.
Yeah. And make them feel important.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that apparently there's a loss of hope. Hopelessness is hard.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go on. And you want to end the pain.
Yeah.
And there have been a number of South Shore suicides. They're up a lot this year. And they're not reporting them all. And believe it or not, they're taking their lives by train. How's that?
That's not a way you want to go.
How's that to cause that pain? A gun. And it's different here in Massachusetts because of the gun laws.
Mm.
Suicides are not accomplished as much here by gun. Women are pills.
Mm-hmm.
Men are hanging.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different thing around the country, but it's still the same. It's still a waste of life that shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And veterans are also afflicted by Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
Parkinson's disease affects about 1 million people in the United States, worldwide. 11% of them are veterans. 110,000. Because of the numbers served, it should only be 1%. It should only be 1,000 Parkinson's. But we just had a recent symposium where we had all the experts and agencies and the clinicians in the Parkinson's world talking about there's no cures, but there's treatments for it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's treatments for this affliction, and believe it or not, the treatment is boxing.
Yeah.
And exercise. And the world's leading treatment center is in Rockland. Brett Miller has 110 Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And then Parkinson sufferers go in and they have tremors and their hands are shaking. After 15 minutes of boxing, they become what they call rock steady. It's amazing.
That's incredible.
And so to keep this up every day, and you go to 110 Fitness, the gym. It's a wellness gym. It's a mindful gym. If you know, it's signed up there says be mindful.
Yeah.
I had to scratch my head. What does that mean? But I think it means be mindful of others.
Right.
And like, don't be afraid to be kind. And Brett wrote a book. It's a beautiful day to save lives. A medic's journey to his destiny. Well, he's a local kid. He grew up. He had two. He had one situation where his brother fell through the ice around East Weymouth, somewhere around Great Escapade. And he was going to lose him, and he lost him. He couldn't find him, and at the last second, he found him, and he was able to save him. And they got back in the sled and went up to the house. The mother gave him a beating, but that was the first time.
Yeah.
And then the next time, he's swimming down Nantasket Beach, and this is he tells the story. He's down Nantasket Beach with his cousins, and here's one of his cousins drowning out in the thing, and he reaches out at the last minute and he saves him.
That's incredible.
And he brings him to shore.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, 20 years later, he's a medic with the National Guard. And he's on training duties, and someone was desperately injured. And the rules were, oh no, gotta wait for this, whatever. But he wouldn't wait. And because of his actions, the prompt medical attention that he gave that injured soldier, he saved his life. So now he's used to being in this life spotlight.
Yeah.
And what a role. I play such a small role, and he plays such a big role. I admire him tremendously, and he's a stalwart of the fight against Parkinson's disease, and he's on the Michael J. Fox Foundation. So we have all of those groups supporting us now, helping in the fight of against Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
And they're saying they expect something within 2 to 5 years. They never said that before. And they just found a critical biomarker that's in a gene, something whatever in your blood that tells you got it or you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And the research that's going on there probably will be affected by budgetary constraints. But Michael J. Fox's name raises a lot of money, and because of his successes, people are living a better life.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm privileged to be with him. Privileged.
Well, we've been privileged to have you on the show today, Gregg. That's for sure. We've got about a minute left. How can people find out more about Veterans Voice Network? How can they get involved? What can they do to help you?
Go to veteransvoicenetwork.org and see what we're doing. Support our festival in Quincy on July 19th. Would love to accept some donations. You can drop any donation off you want at WATD. They'll get it to us. Drop it off here at Marshfield Broadcasting Company. I'm sure we can work it through the system, but we need your support now more than ever. And any support is great support, and gift cards for our food drive, greatly appreciated. Mm-hmm. Once again, drop them off here in Marshfield at either the cable TV network or at WATD Studios on Enterprise Drive.
Wonderful. Well, Gregg, thank you again for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
And
it's labor of love.
Yeah. And I've seen you ever since I've been here for 10 years now. I've seen you doing this and all the passion you have, and it's really incredible.
I'm surrounded. I'm surrounded by like-minded people, and I've been able to attract them over the years, and we want to just keep it going, see how long we can go. We're just getting old. That's the problem, Sean. You're gonna have to take over pretty soon.
Yeah.
You get ready.
Yeah, I don't know if I can keep up with what you do, but I'll do my best.
I think so. If you can keep up with the new baby, doing this would be a piece of cake. A piece of cake.
Well, thanks again, Gregg. That's all the time we have. Folks, we'll see you in the next one.